Hi guys, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about food in China. So um, I think that what I'm going to talk about hopefully will be able to benefit anybody who has had weight loss surgery who travels to China, but I also understand that kind of part of what I'm saying may only apply if you're there for an extended period of time like I was. So I was in China for 2 months. So some of my revelations with food I feel like only came because I was there for 2 months. But um anyways, so food in China was a struggle for the first couple of weeks. Obviously a lot of rice, um a lot of wontons, a lot of things that really make me confused about why they're all so skinny. Um because I don't know, I always hear about like how healthy they eat and that it's like a whole lot of fresh veggies and blah blah blah. And I found a whole lot of rice, a whole lot of fried food, and a whole lot of wontons, which were also sometimes fried. And um, it kind of just blew my mind as to like how it was considered healthy and why they're also skinny. But um, so yeah, the first couple weeks I kind of struggled with food a lot. And I ended up buying from the international section of a grocery store a package of oatmeal and peanut butter, and I was eating oatmeal with bananas and peanut butter like all the time. And for me that's ridiculous because I hate bananas. Like I am so anti-banana and I ate so many bananas the first couple weeks I was in China. Bananas and peanut butter, bananas and peanut butter and oatmeal just all the time. Mainly because it was what I felt was the only thing that I was getting nutritional value from, like bananas and some nut butter and even oatmeal. I just felt like compared to like rice, way more nutritional value. So I ate a lot of that. And eventually once I was in China for a few weeks, um probably week 2 or 3, I started really finding things that I liked, things that I felt had a lot more nutritional value, and really started liking and enjoying the food, and eventually wasn't eating any bananas and peanut butter, or at least they were very sparing. And I swear to God, I will never eat another banana in my life ever again. I'm so sick of bananas after all, all of that I ate. But I think one of the main points, and this could even be for somebody who's only in China for a short time, is pay attention to the street food. Don't worry about gutter grease. If you don't know what gutter grease is, don't read about it and go for the street food. The street food is what I found to be the most protein. And despite what people say about gutter grease, I found that it was um, less questionable than some of the stuff that you get in restaurants because you would see it being prepared right in front of you. So late night street food I found had a lot of protein compared to sometimes what I would get in restaurants where I felt like I was trying to like mine for gold in a pile of rice for little bits of protein. But street food, especially late night street food, you could get like skewers of meat, and people just have these like mobile like grills on the back of their bikes, and you could just like pick out skewers of meat and veggies and they would grill them up for you. And I just absolutely fell in love with this woman who made fried tofu. So she'd give you a container of like fried tofu and um grilled potatoes, and sometimes when I could get my translation correctly, I would also get her to put a fried egg on top. I ate that every night the entire time I was there, and sometimes we would get two to save it for the lunch the next day. I lived off of fried tofu. And for anybody who's like, ew, tofu, one, tofu in China, way better than tofu in the US. Like, way better. They know how to cook that stuff. It is just absolutely delicious. And I've actually been kind of thankful for that experience, because now that I know that tofu can be that delicious, I've gone back to experimenting with tofu. I went through a phase a while ago where I'd experiment with tofu and I was like, ugh. But that kind of like re-energized me to try cooking with tofu again, and I cannot even come close to the level of amazingness that this woman made on the street every night. And then there was also another man who made a different kind of fried tofu. But yeah, late night street food is a real big key. Depending on your location in China, that will be different times. There was one section in Shanghai that had a lot of street food out from like 5 to 9. And then there was another part I was in Shanghai where all of the street food would come out at like 10, 11 o'clock at night. So you kind of have to like try it out and see when things kind of pop out of the walls and stuff happens on the streets. But definitely late night street food is a huge lifesaver. In terms of food that isn't late night street food, eventually I found a few restaurants nearby, at least my campus, that I really liked. Basically, my advice is to try to find wontons that are larger in size. So I had a shit ton of wontons while I was in China, but there was one place in particular that had just absolutely massive wontons, and the amount of protein that you'd get inside those versus the amount of carbs that were wrapped around them, you got a lot more protein out of those than some of the smaller ones that had, just a tiny little bit inside. So normally you can see everything made or pictures before you buy it. So keep your eye out for large wontons. Sometimes they would be called Beijing style. Beijing style makes their wontons huge. So if you're in Beijing, lucky you get big wontons automatically. If you're not in Beijing, look for Beijing style wontons, or just look for a place that has larger wontons versus smaller ones because of the more protein. And then for anybody who's not afraid of fat but likes protein, I did find some places that had fried chicken that is your only bet for real chicken. So even when I talked about the late night street food before, I guarantee you're going to try that chicken and be like, that ain't chicken. A lot of their chicken, and by a lot I mean 99% of their chicken that you will ever get, is very soft. It doesn't have the same dense texture to it. It's very soft. It's very weird. I didn't like it in the slightest. I ate it all the time, but I didn't really like it. So yeah, going back to late night street food, lamb, best option. But anyways, if you want chicken, if you go to a place that has fried chicken, they're going to have like a real chicken breast that has texture and density to it and doesn't just like squish on your tongue. I don't mind the grease when it means getting real protein. And I also do low carb, so I don't really fear grease. Most of the times, obviously I try to make it healthier, like olive, avocado, coconut versus whatever they were frying it in. But I think if you're in China long enough, you're going to want some real chicken, and you're not really going to care about the grease of a fried chicken breast. So that's another bro tip right there. And then the other thing is not being worried, and I think this is something we all struggle with after weight loss surgery, about wasting food. Just especially in China, when you're trying to find protein that isn't going to make you sick and is actually kind of good for you, don't be afraid to buy a few different things for a meal at a few different locations. A meal, one, in China is going to take anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes to get to your table, and two is going to cost you the equivalent of a US dollar to $3 for like a normal meal, versus if you go to a fancy Chinese restaurant, maybe you'll spend the $10 to $15 like you would in the US, but you're really only going to be spending 1 to 3 US dollars on a meal. So don't be afraid to just get a few things and get the protein out of all of it and kind of discard. I definitely felt bad about that sometimes, but there were times where I'd get like 2 meals and eat all of the protein out of it and toss rice. I think it's something that all of us struggle with after weight loss surgery, like the whole like leftover discarding food, eating parts of things, and just kind of being wasteful about stuff. But especially in China, I think it's worth it. The first couple weeks I was there, I could tell like my fingers and my feet were swollen. I was getting no nutritional value from the food until I kind of learned my way and really knew what I was doing, and my body was reacting to it, and that, I think after a while, like learning to discard some things and really just focus on getting in the protein was a lot better than having, visible signs of my body being like, this isn't good. So those are my hopefully helpful tips for anybody who travels to China. I have more information if anybody's actually going to China or Asia. I'm certainly welcome to help out. Just comment, send me a message, whatever you want to do, get in contact with me. I'm also always willing to help anybody out, but I hope that helps. And I totally have a tofu addiction now, so there might be some tofu recipes coming up on my blog soon because, I just really love tofu now, but I will never be able to make it as good as the Chinese, so that is sad. But until next time, that's all for Molly Sleeved Eating in China. Have a great day, guys.